All right. I have not ended the CRISPR Roots podcast. I know it's been very thin. There's been one episode so far this year. So sorry about that. I'm still listening, to the new releases each week, and I'm not finding stuff I love so much like I did all the first 6 months, especially last year. And I thought that was just the case. Like you could always find stuff that Little Crispy loves. But it's been a little thinner. Again, I'm not sure it's my mood or whatever. But I'm going to devote an episode here. I devoted an episode in season 1 to Stephanie Lamring. That was the one solo shot. The great, sort of first-person writer, confessional storyteller, Stephanie Lamring. But let me do an episode on Jesse Wells, who I already did half an episode on last summer. I just saw him on Thursday at World Cafe Live in Philly, and I'm very glad I did. This is something to see, which is, and occasionally you'll see someone go through this, and I envy it and I enjoy it. Like when you see an artist in a creative outburst, maybe they think that they'll be able to do this for 50 years. Few can. But Jesse Wells has put out 50 songs in the last year. And more than that, because he puts stuff up on YouTube all the time. And just the writing is wonderful and the performances are... And he's so distinctive and so cool, all right? And he's a very fine guitar player and actually plays harmonica on a rack as well, very well. Every time he started blowing the harmonica, there was a swell of cheering in the crowd at World Cafe, which made me pretty happy, But yeah, he's put out a 21-song LP called Hell's Wells. It's a masterpiece of protest music last summer. Folk acoustic, just him and his guitar and harmonica and whistle. And he put out a EP called All Creatures Great and Small. Is that right? That was about animals. 6 songs, just charming and wonderful songs, new songs, and totally different vibe than the protest stuff. Although, there's an environmentalist aspect to All Creatures Great and Small. As a protest singer, I'm trying to think of comparable musical outbursts, I'm sure I could, if I really thought about it, I could do somewhat better, but the first 3 Prine albums, what was that, a year and a half? Oh my God, how many great songs do you have, dude? All right. Or I guess I experienced Elvis Costello this way, sort of mid-'80s to mid-'90s even. Wow, album after album that I just love so much. Or maybe early 90s Elvis Costello. I should look up all these albums. Been listening to all this Useless Beauty lately. Wonderful thing. Masterpiece, I think. All right, so, now it seems less impressive now to put out 40, 50 songs in a year that are really excellent, but because everyone's putting out triple albums and stuff like this all the time. Post Malone and Beyonce and Morgan Wallen and stuff like this. You see you see albums of 30 cuts all the time, man. So that doesn't seem as impressive as it might have 10 years ago. But now I don't really think there's any reason there's no creative urgency that makes Post Malone or Beyonce Knowles put out a 30-song record. Okay? And they're in a factory. And, they have all kinds of producers and all kinds of co-writers. And, if she really buckled down, Beyonce could put out 150 songs because she is a factory. But I say, there's a reason for every song that Jesse Wells recorded, including the YouTube informal stuff, in the last year, man. Another thing about him is he's such a pointed protest singer. And he's pushed the genre of protest music to a new spot, I think. You know, he reminds me of Billy Bragg or somebody like that. I mean, I'm not saying, or even Anti-Flag or somebody like that. But I'm not saying that there's been no precedence. But man, these protest songs are so pointed, so direct, so well written, so morally urgent. I haven't quite heard anything like it. And it's so much better, I would say, than like the protesty folk music of the 60s and stuff. A lot of that stuff, it wasn't about anything in a way. Like you're going like, the answer is blowing in the wind. Oh, thanks. Is that an anti-Vietnam War song? Did he have anti-Vietnam War songs that were just real clear and pointed? Well, I mean, Jesse Wells's best-known song, probably everyone sang along with it, which was in a way a disturbing thing at the show. And it's the first cut on Hell's Wells from last summer. War Isn't Murder. That's typical in his ironic mode. Because he's saying war is murder. And then it's, like I say, it's recorded last summer. But it is so prescient. It's about how Jared Kushner, partly about how Jared Kushner thinks that Gaza is a good real estate opportunity. And, you know, in a few years when you're taking a vacation, don't think about the dead people and have a nice trip when you're vacationing on the strip, he says. Now, okay, that's a urgent protest song from last summer. And then in the last month, I mean, that was before Trump was reelected, obviously, and all this, and much less before Trump says he wants to take over and own the strip. You know, there were some stray remarks that led to Jesse Wells's interpretation, I think, but man, that was very prescient. Right? I mean, here's one of my songs. This song has run through my head so hard for the whole, since last summer, man. And that's just one thing that's wild, okay? Like these are urgent protest, folky, strum your acoustic guitar songs. But they're hooky too, and they stick in your head. That's, you know, there's an underlying actual pop sensibility or something, a sense for the riff. And this is one reason why this new album is good and interesting, because it's fully produced. The earlier stuff from last year was just him and his guitar and his harmonica. But now he's working with full production, and it really works in this way. Like, I mean, I love the acoustic recordings, but these songs can definitely sustain a full, you know, country style production or rock and roll. All right. But I just wanted to give you a snatch of Slaves from Hell's Wells. It's so disturbing that it's so catchy.
Slaves picking cocoa off a plant down in Ghana. Slaves, Nestle got a good deal on the farm. Yeah, slaves digging cobalt in a pit in the Congo. Slaves making environmentally friendly cars go. Slaves on the highway trying not to get hit. In Alabama, in orange jumpsuit picking up random shit. Slaves in plain sight in the US of A. Slaves, well, ain't it nice they let them out for the day. Slaves sewing gussets in a factory. Slaves making clothes for you and me. Slaves keep on working cause they're so damn afraid. In an Amazon warehouse
it's catchy as shit. It's got great riffs, and it's ultra disturbing. And it's true. It makes you think. I've been seeing the world a little differently since that song's been running through my head all the time. Now that someone that can do that, can also, with the very same sound and everything, do the songs that are on the All Creatures Great and Small EP is amazing. He can be amusing, poetic. I mean, the song titles here on this EP are Bugs, Trees, Turtles, Squirrels, Autumn, and Whales. You might think that's going to be pretty annoying or something like that. But his song about whales is wonderful. His song about squirrels. But I'll just give you and this again is something that everyone knew at World Cafe Live. As soon as he started into this one, just played the riff on the guitar, everyone started singing and stuff.
Well, I have a reason, I know why. Don't do it just so they'll die. If you're gonna kill a bug, don't do it just because. I like bugs, and I'll tell you why. They're alive, so am I. Bugs. I like grasshoppers, frogs eat 'em. I like bees, spiders need 'em. I like spiders, I like slugs. I like caterpillars, I like bugs. I hate crowds, I love people. I ain't down with the plague, but I'm good with beetles and bugs. Whoa. Bugs are pretty cute, bugs are pretty fun. There's a couple of bugs I try to stay away from. Mosquitoes, ticks, business flies, bugs in suits.
Bugs in suits and bugs in ties that he tries to stay away from. There's little political elements in everything he does, really. But then also the most pointed and catchy political songs that have ever been made. Bugs, man. I like bugs, and I'll tell you why. They're alive, and so am I. All right, now there's a beautiful, simple, excellent piece of writing. All right, now Jesse Wells, and this is our excuse for talking about Jesse Wells right now, has a brand new album out. It's called Middle. I don't know if that's the best title for an album right now. MIDI, everything's MIDI, I guess, but whatever. And like I say, it's fully produced this time. And he did a segment of his show on Thursday with a band. I think it was Mount Joy, the Americana band. I'm not sure how they're connected, really. And actually, I probably should look this up more, who's playing on this album. Maybe it is Mount Joy. But the songs certainly sustain a full, rock or country arrangement. So I think maybe as he thinks about more airplay and taking this thing on tour in different ways, he's going to have a band, right? And it's going to work out great, I think, as well. This album, Middle, it's not that it's non-political. A lot of it has all kinds of political content, but that doesn't seem to be the first thing. There's heartbreak songs. There's, I don't know, there's a variety of songs, variety of tempos, a variety of styles, and he's showing his catchy chops and all this stuff. Let me just go to this one. This is a song that actually I think is an older song of his. Might have been on a previous album. Fear is a Mind Killer. But just check out a little bit what he does with this.
Supposed to know that my soul was gonna grow into a big soul flower. The only thing I'd ever need was a big hot sun and the occasional shower. How was I supposed to know that my stone was gonna roll way down in the valley? How was I supposed to see all the fishes
Yeah, like I say, like these songs sustain a full arrangement, and they're very well written. I mean, as you think about this, like the bridge on that was basically the bridge, and it's a very elaborate minute long bridge or whatever, and perfect too. Right. Um, he's showing, and in a way he's enabled to do this by the fuller arrangements, is various his stylistic elements. So the rock comes through, or he returns to the acoustic folk mode in the last couple songs, and but he can do something much more country. And, I think, and he's living in Nashville. Everybody is seemingly. So he could sort of mutate into a more countryish person with songs like this.
If I lived way up on a high tall mountain, up in the sky like a monk, listening to the stream, just the critters and me, hugging on a big tree trunk. If I lived way down in a great rift valley, watching the lilacs blow in the wind, watching alluvial sands in the cradle of man slip through our fingers again. Every grain of sand through the hourglass, every grain of sand. I'm gonna squeeze everything I can out of every last grain of sand. If I lived way out on a boat in the ocean, just my astronomy to get by on my last voyage with all of the gods on the deck of the starboard side. And if I
He's just such a good writer, I think. And that's a hardcore country melody. Like, it's a waltz time. He's really. It doesn't do to forget as you listen to how pointed and rich the lyrics are, what a good songwriter he is overall, and how well constructed these songs are. All right, like. Like I say, he sort of is also moving in a rock direction, which would also work in Nashville, and more like a southern rock thing. He's from Arkansas. I think he comes from a pretty poor background in Arkansas. Like that's a good background in a way for this kind of artist. I think, it's a pretty credible folk country background, and also it informs the style of his protest as well. But I'll give you a little touch of Jesse Wells' The Rocker. And this is more like a heartbreak song, too, than a political song.
I was eating blood merchant on the hood of my car, fantasizing wild ponies and electric guitars. I was contemplating storm clouds on the edge of the sky. Especially don't ask questions if you can't handle why. Why don't you love me, honey? Why can't it be love? What's it gotta be? Anything you want, I know. Why don't you love me, honey? What can I prove? I just as soon you hate me than to try and make two. I just as soon you hate me than to try and make two.
I can hear that as a hit single. Now, that's pretty far from Bugs. All right. He can do a lot of stuff, man. But by the same token, he always sounds exactly like him. And the lyrics are always his lyrics, man. I guess I'm really into this to this artist. Um, Here's one more little cut. There's a lot of good songs on
Blow
here.
you down into that land. You wake more than the dogs, my friend. You wake until you've woken, then you wanna go to sleep again. I'm sorry. Water within, water seeking, confusion analytic reading, good mentor down cut and bleeding. All things no one needed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I feel so goddamn dead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm the worst thing you ever had. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I feel so goddamn dead.
Right, bluesy rock and roll, man. I guess I wasn't expecting that from Jesse Wells. When I saw there was a new album, first thing was like, what? No way, really? And then the second thing was, I was surprised by the arrangements and actually the nature of the songs too. But I'm going along for the ride because I feel like this is one of the best and most promising artists working today. He deserves a lot more attention. It's starting to build though. There was a New York Times feature, I guess, a week or two ago. All right. All right, so there's the second installment of CRISPR Roots for 2025. I think the new releases are picking up, and I expect to be back with more episodes soon.